Hey guys, welcome back. I'm posting again without rhyme or reason, and I'm sure some of you might be confused as to why I'm doing a Valentine's Day granny square. For those that have been around for a few months and saw the video, I'm going to give a little reminder. For those that are new, I'm going to explain myself. Also, if you're new, welcome. If you like what you see, feel free to maybe subscribe. That would be great. I am always looking for suggestions on new craft ideas, new things to try. I generally focus around crochet and resin projects, but as you've probably seen the past couple of videos, we're neither of those two things. And I have another one coming out, I think probably next week, that is definitely not crochet or resin. So I'm open to pretty much anything that is relatively cheap and easy. So my explanation. In January, I wanted to make my goal for this year was to make a crochet granny square blanket. And I thought maybe making each square, the theme of the holiday for the month and blah, blah. Well, as some of you may know, because I've mentioned it 100 times, I broke my thumb at the end of January. So I couldn't crochet anything. I'm just now getting to where I can crochet for a pretty long time. So without it hurting too much, I do kind of have to pop it back into place every once in a while, so that's fun. But I'm trying to catch up. So I want to have 3 granny squares for each month. January, I made the 24 with the little sparkly yarn. And then I made a snowflake. I think I'm going to try and find some way to do fireworks or something. I just haven't thought that one out, and it was easier to find patterns for Valentine's Day than it is for New Year's, because usually people don't think of New Year's as a holiday you really decorate for, So eventually I'll have a third one. So I want 3 granny squares for each month, but I also can't post 3 videos for each granny square. Otherwise, in December, I'll just be getting through June. I won't be able to catch up. Basically, my plan is to do 2 off camera and then 1 easier one on camera for you guys to follow along. That way, I still have something to post, and I'm still able to complete the project that I had planned in the beginning of the year. For the first 2 granny squares, I got a pattern from, I don't know how to pronounce it, Rafa Musa Designs, RAFFAMUSA Designs. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl that posted. I'm going to guess a girl. Awesome patterns. Cutest designs for all holidays. And I would highly suggest going there. I'll try and remember to post a link for the granny square that I'm going to do in this video. Because I kind of made up a design. One of the things that I wanted to do, just the pattern was not working out for me. So the 2 that I made from the same place was this one. So she gives a pattern for the basic granny square, and then there's a separate pattern for the heart, and then a separate pattern for the appliques, the LVE appliques. This took maybe, I don't know, if I didn't take any breaks and didn't have to stop for dog stuff and all that fun stuff, it probably would have taken me an hour and a half, maybe. Super easy, simple, and cute. I love this one. They're little lovebirds. Isn't that the cutest little thing? I did have to extend out the granny square because I'm not sure if the hook was wrong, which is my fault. I'm not sure if the yarn was thicker than the yarn she used. Again, my fault. But either way, my birds turned out bigger than the original granny square. So I had to add a couple layers, which once you get used to how the pattern counts out, you can just continue off of that. But yeah, I thought that was the cutest little thing. Now, for any new people or newish people, I don't buy yarn per pattern. I find bulk packaging of yarn at thrift stores, at in the clearance section, places like that, because spending you know, $8, which if you say it out loud doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trying to save money, considering the certain climate of the financial situation of the country, you want to find ways to save money. So I will find a big box of yarn, miscellaneous yarn at a thrift store for $20, which comes out to be like $1 per skein. That $1 per skein, I'm okay with. And depending on how pretty it is, I might push it to $2. But 9 times out of 10, if you find yarn, skeins of yarn at a thrift store or on clearance, it's usually $1. Which also means that I end up with like random yarn. I would have never bought this. I'm not a huge fan of specialty yarns because I'm not a professional crocheter. I'm learning as I go, and these little extra loops, it's actually an extra piece of yarn intertwined with the white yarn. So I'm dealing with more stuff than I should, which is why this granny square ended up so big, because I used the hook that they told me to use, but the yarn was thicker than it should have been. Like, I think this is more normal. I think this is the general size that a granny square is supposed to be. I think this is too small. I like some heft to my squares. So this size is a good size to me. This is a little extreme. But again, with granny squares, I know I'm going to have to add some extra border to all of them to make sure they're all the same size, because depending on the type of yarn you use and the hook size you use and blah 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 will determine how big your granny square is. And I am, for some reason, stuck on the 4.5 millimeter. I always pick this size. I don't even read what size I'm supposed to use. I always pick the 4.5. I don't know if it's because that's like the middle. I have zero clue why. It's just, that's the size I pick. The only time I change is if it's a super thin or super thick yarn, then I will adjust accordingly. But 9 times out of 10, it's the 4.5. So, I'm sorry, I went on a rampage, and now I'm going to have to bring it back. So the pattern we're doing is basically we're going to do the granny square, the generic granny square, circle to square granny square, which is what I used for these two here. It's pretty easy to read. I didn't have any issues with them, which for some reason, I keep finding errors in other patterns, so I'm glad that this one actually worked correctly. And then I'm making the hearts, the little hearts that my first video was on. I'll recap all of how to do these things after I stop talking. So it's just going to be a granny square, and then with little hearts put on them. It's super simple. I think the thumbnail probably will show exactly what I'm talking about, but this wasn't really a pattern per se. It was one of those, what could I do that's easy and someone else could follow along and not have a problem with, and this was the best thing my brain could come up with. So let's get to what you guys need. Guys, if you're still with me after 10 minutes of me just talking nonsense, thanks for sticking around. I hope that I can show you something. Okay, so this is the pattern I printed off just because, one, I don't like looking at computer screens, and two, I have found that if you wait too long to print, sometimes the links don't work anymore. So this one does come with gauges, so the type of yarn, the size, what hooks you should use, what size it should come out to. Again, I am not a professional crocheter. I am learning as I go, and my slight tendency of ADD behaviors doesn't let me even comprehend what this is trying to tell me. So I'm using the 4.5. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe. It's not going to focus. Okay, fine. Nope, not going to focus. Maybe? No. Okay. It's a 4.5. You'll just have to trust me. And then you'll need some snippers or scissors, whichever works for you. Get that out of the way. You'll need a tapestry needle to sew the hearts on to the granny square. I always keep a couple stitch markers just because on occasion I either lose track where I'm going or I'll confuse the chain with an actual stitch and blah blah blah. So I always keep a couple on hand. A lot of people do need these to keep track of their counts, which is perfectly fine. If you have to use 10 stitch markers to do one small project, that's what you need to do. Everybody's different on how they crochet, so don't feel ashamed of that. And some of these, you can buy really cute ones of these. These came with kits, crochet kits. I like them because they lock rather than the spiral ones that could spiral right out or stretch out your yarn. For the square, I'm using this ombre pink salmon color thing. I didn't want to do any more red or plain pink because that just, I'm trying to change it up a little. So that's what I'm using. And this came in one of those boxes, giant boxes of thrift store yarn. It's an entire skein, and I got it basically for $1 rather than minimum this would have cost $8. So I think that was a win-win. I did a bunch of hearts. I tried to pick kind of softer shades. I do tend to lean more towards the greens and blues, but I made sure I threw in a couple different colors. I didn't pick any pink or red because I didn't want it to clash. Like, I didn't want the pink to be just slightly off and then you can't see it or whatever the case may be. So I did random colors rather than the pink and red. So the first thing, these are the hearts I'm going to use. I am going to go ahead and do a heart for you guys so you can see how I do it. My first video that I posted was me doing the heart, which depending on how fast you are at crocheting, it should take you less than a few minutes to do. If you're slower, then it's fine. Take a half hour if you need to. I think that video was a half hour long just because I wanted to make sure you guys knew everything that I was doing. Not a problem. And I gotta find the end. It's here somewheres. There it is. Okay. Now when I do the skein, I always pull from the center just because it may be floppy, but it at least keeps its shape, and it's easier to pull out. If that didn't sound right, it's easier to extract from the skein if you go from the center rather than trying to unwind it constantly and then the roll goes flying down the room. No one has patience for that. I certainly don't have patience for that. Okay, for the heart, I'm just going to make one heart just so you guys have that on hand for the pattern for later so you can stop and rewind however many times it takes to do however many hearts you want to do. For a magic ring or magic circle, I prefer this method to the chain method. I think if you chain 3 and then start doing all of your stitches in that first chain, you'll still get a heart shape, but you can't pull it tight. And I like the fact that I can pull it tight and there's no hole in the middle and it's nice and clean looking, and basically that's why I do it this way. So I take the end and I wrap it around just like that. Hang on to that. Am I completely out of focus? Here, let me zoom out a little, maybe. There we go. That's a little better. So I wrap it around and then I'll hold it with my thumb there and I'll hold it with my pinky there. That way it's a little taut. It's not flopping around. I do crochet tight, so if this isn't comfortable for you, don't hold it like this. Hold it however is comfortable to you. So long as you're able to put the hook under, pull the yarn through, twist, and again, I always hold it here. If you go over and pull it through, then you've made your magic ring. Okay? You're going to do one more stitch. So that's two crochet, two chains. So the pattern is 3 treble, 3 double, 1 single chain, and a treble. So that's the first half. Okay, so we're going to go over that, and then it's basically in reverse on the other side. So we're going to do 3 treble, which means you have 3 loops on there. So 1, oops, and if you go too many, which I do every single time, so don't feel bad, and just push it back through. I always have to go slow on the treble because either I yank the hook too far, or I only grab partial of the yarn, or whatever. It's just, I've learned that I have to go slow for the treble crochet. Okay, so there's 3 trebles, 3 doubles, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to chain 1 and do a treble. So this is the point. See, I'm yanking pulling it too tight. One more chain, and then we're going to go in the reverse. So we have 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3, and then you can see that my tail's getting really short. You want to make sure that you're always crocheting over both. So if your tail is too short, just pull on it and it'll make it longer. You have to pull on it anyways when you're finishing it, so it's not that big a deal if you're pulling it tighter. Okay, so we have 3 trebles. Too far. 2. Come on, Jackie. Here's my yarn. 1, 2. Okay, so there was a treble, 3 doubles, 3 trebles. So here's the 3rd treble. Too far. Okay, and then you're going to chain 2. Now I always pull it a little tight so that it's really not that much space in between here. But you still, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch. So you still want to make sure you're pulling both, you're going over both pieces of yarn. So I'm going to go through the middle, pull the yarn, and then pull it through just like that. So that's a slip stitch. So I'm going to yank on the the tail. Now, if you have either older yarn or more, I guess you could say dainty yarn, specialty yarn, be careful when you're pulling it close, because it will break, and then you won't have anything to pull on to tighten and secure it. After I do the slip stitch, I do one more chain and then I pull, because that makes it into a knot. It's up to you on whether you want to do that. I don't know that I've seen other videos show that. That's just, I know it's a knot if I pull it through one more time. Okay, so this was the tail. I'm going to do a couple more tugs. That feels pretty tight to me. Now, on occasion, the knot that you make when you pull that extra chain through will show up front. So one way that I A, hide it, and B, secure the tail for the magic ring is I just tie both strings into a knot. So 1, come on, 2. So that not only defines the point in the top there, but it also secures the magic ring. Now, I don't know, I've never had a magic ring come loose, especially after you tighten the top and you know, do the slip stitch and the chain and all that to make the knot. I've never seen it come loose, but in my mind, over time, things just loosen up naturally, especially if it's fibers like this. So I'm hoping that this prevents that from happening in the future. So there's your heart, one basic little heart. I'm not going to include this on my granny square because, like I said, I have all the different colors that I want to use. I just wanted to make sure that you guys had the pattern at hand. Alrighty, now for the square. This is only, I'm pretty sure it's 8 rounds. Yeah, it's 8 rounds. Now, let's see. There is one alteration that I make. So when I really need to do a video on rounds, when you are slip stitching to the next round and you are needing to slip stitch and you're needing to go to like a half double crochet, I always do chain 2, because then the yarn is already up and then you're just moving across, as opposed to only doing one chain and it's down here and then you're trying to go up, because then it makes a slope. And like I said, I'm a little OCD, so it just makes it look nicer. I don't know if there's any way to tell. So like this, is it? Yeah, here's the scar. I don't know if you can see the scar. This is where I had to go up to do the next round, and up and do the next round. If you don't do the 2 chain, then you're not tall enough, and then it won't be a clean loop. It'll be more sloped, which will make the scar more noticeable. Honestly, I don't think anybody that doesn't know crochet would even notice that there's a scar there. I can see it because I made it, and anything you make, you can see all the problems with it, but I know the scar's right there. But it would have been a lot worse if A, I didn't make a chain, or B, I didn't make 2 chains. So in this pattern, they're only doing chain 1. I'm doing 2 chains to make sure that it's up high enough to do that half double crochet or that double crochet. I think it turns into double crochet up here. So just FYI, if you print this off and go, well, she did 2 chains, well, that's why, because I don't like having a noticeable scar in my crafts. No one else notices it, but by golly, I see it. Alrighty, we are starting off me get situated here. We're going to do another magic circle. And again, this is the ombre, so hopefully it changes colors. I'm really only seeing one shade here, but oh yeah, there's two shades. Okay, we're good. Won't be too boring the first couple rings. We're going to do a magic circle. Okay, pull that through, twist it, pull it through. Now these are all half double crochets, so I'm going to do another. So there's two, 1, 2. So there's 11 half double crochets. So a half double crochet, you want the 2 loops on there like a normal double crochet. You're going to pull that through, and then you're going to pull through all 3 loops. Okay? All 3 loops. So, and I also mark, if I can find it, I also mark the first chain, because sometimes I'll get confused on whether it's that one or that one, and that way I'm not confused. So I'm going to do the, I could probably do it fast enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Alrighty. Don't get that tangled, otherwise it won't pull right. Okay. So I did 11. Okay. Now we're going to do increase half double crochets in all of them, which means you're going to do 2 half double crochets in each chain. But to get there, first you have to slip stitch into that stitch to get it connected, and then you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. So this gets it up there already, so you can just have a clean, I'm sorry if you hear barking. Okay, so we're going to do 2 in each. There's 1. I'm going to go ahead and mark that. 2. 1, 2. Okay, so we're at 6. I try and count just to make sure I didn't miss something. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is why you don't want to crochet tight, it makes it hard. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Oops. Now you know it should be 22 because you're increasing in each of them, and there's 11 stitches. So 2 times 11 is 22. Okay, so we got that one. We're going to slip stitch to join. chain 2. Okay. Now we're going to do an increase, half double crochet, increase, and then half double crochet. Half double crochet, increase, half double crochet. So we're going to increase on this one. Come on. Nope, that did not go where I wanted it to. There we go. Okay, so we're increasing on this one. So there's 1, 2, and then single. 1, 2, and then single. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to do that all the way around and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished that row. That's the third row. So you can see how it's pretty solid there. Like the transition isn't that noticeable. One day I will get to the rounds video. I think I tried recording it once and it completely failed. So we're going to do a slip stitch and chain 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We're in round 4. We're going to do now usually you do all increase and then you do increase 1 and then you do increase 2 and then increase 3 singles, increase 4 singles. This person went ahead and adjusted it, because if you do the increase as your first stitch every time, it'll start getting points to it. Start looking like I think it's an octagon. I think it hexagon or I'm pretty sure it's octagon. I'm not sure if it's 6 or 8, but nonetheless, it starts having straight edges, and you don't want your circle to have straight edges. So in this instance, we're going to do a single half double crochet first. Oh, come on, dude. You don't belong under the desk. Thank you. Okay, so there's the single. Go ahead and mark that. And then now we're going to do increase and then 2 singles, increase, 2 singles. So increase, two singles, and these are all half double crochets. So when I say single, I mean a single half double crochet, increase, half double crochet, 2 single half double crochets. Sorry about the dog noises. I'm dog sitting and he's not my normal type of dog. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go all the way around. So it's increase, half double crochet, 2 single half double crochets, increase, 2 singles, increase, 2 singles, so on and so forth. So I'll meet you on the other side. Alrighty, so we're at the end of that. Now we're only doing 4 rows for the circle. Now we're going to start squaring it off. So first we're going to, now when I do this, I don't know if you can even see it. So there's the chain. Am I angled right? Let's try it that way. So here's the chain. This is the chain 2 right here. Okay. This is the first stitch right there. Now there is a little string, a little piece of yarn that's between the hole for the chain and the stitch. Okay, that's where I want the hook to go. I don't know. Here, let me. I really want to make sure you guys can see it, because the problem is if you put it in this little hole here where the chain was, you see that? That's the chain hole. If you put it there, then it'll make it a little cattywampus, okay? Now, if you go underneath the stitch, let me see if I can go backwards. Go a little backwards here. Okay. Okay, so there's the stitch. There's that extra piece of yarn. And then there's the hole. So that yarn. So you want the hook to go between that extra piece of yarn and the stitch. That way it'll be secure where it needs to be secure, and it's not all willy-nilly in the chain there. Now if you want to do your slip stitch there, that's fine. I just prefer it to be more stable. So we're going to go underneath there. Slip stitch. And I usually always make that pretty tight, because then that slip stitch is a nice clean circle there. So slip stitch, we're going to do 2 chains. Wait, are we? No, we're not. I lied. We're only doing 1 chain. The reason being is because we are not doing a half double crochet in this first stitch. So this first stitch, we're actually going to do 2 single crochets, because we have to square it off. So it's going to be thinner around the 4, I can't say 4 sides because it's a circle. It's going to be thinner stitches on the top and bottom, and the two sides here. And then it's going to be bigger stitches out here so that it makes that corner. So from here, we're going to do 2 single crochets. And you're still going to go back into that first stitch where you did the slip stitch. The slip stitch and the chain, because I did the slip stitch. Did I do it? Did I do the chain? No, I didn't. Okay, I did the slip stitch. I have to do 1 chain. That way it's up high enough to match up with the single crochet. And then in that same chain, you're going to do a single crochet. And then mark it. If you don't want to mark it, you don't have to. I just like to mark it. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets. I really hope I'm making sense and not talking in circles. I tend to talk in circles. We're going to do 2 half double crochets. There's 1. Got dog hair in there. 2. Okay. And then we're going to do a double crochet. I need to get some more yarn here. Uh-oh. Losing stuff here. Okay. Double crochet. We're going to do a double crochet increase. Maybe. There we go. So there's 1. There's 2. We're going to chain 2. And then do another double crochet increase in the next stitch. There's 1. There's 2. And that right there is the start of your point. Where that chain was, that's the start of your corner right there. Okay. So we did chain 2, did the increase. Okay, so this next pattern, I don't know if you guys want to follow along the whole time. I'm just going to show you the whole thing. It's going to take a while, but I'm going to show you the whole thing because this layer will help you know how to do the next layer, because it's basically repeating itself, but it's a lot repeating itself. Okay, so we're going to do a double crochet, 2 half double crochets, oops, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 2 half double crochets, 1, 2, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet increase, chain 2, double crochet increase, oops, okay, so that's one side right there. Okay, we're going to do that again. We got double crochet, 2 half double crochets, 3 singles, 2 half double, 1 double, 1 double increase, chain 2, 1 double increase, 1 double. If you guys need me to do another video on how to do these stitches slower, drop me a comment, because I'm under the assumption that you're good with those kinds of things. So if you're not, tell me. And it's okay if you have to pause it and rewind and rewatch certain things. Just, I don't know what you guys, since I haven't been able to do a live yet, because I haven't reached 50 subscribers, I don't know what y'all need me to do or reiterate or anything like that. So, did the 2 half doubles. Okay. Right, so I did 2 double crochets, 1 double, 2 halves, 3 singles, 2 halves, 1 double, double increase, chain 2, double increase, double, 2 halves, 1 single, and then got the start off to the square. See, the scar is pretty barely noticeable, but I hope to get some lighter colors in here. I'm kind of meh with this with this color scheme, but whatever. You use what you got. I have to use what I have. I need to, maybe I should show you guys my stock at some point. It's pretty obnoxious. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to slip stitch it together. Now we're going to chain 2 because the next round is double crochets. I think the next 2 rounds are double crochets. Okay, so I did chain 2. Now we're going to double crochet 7. So we're going to, the first one is going to go in that first stitch that you did the slip stitch. The chain does not count as a stitch. There are some patterns that count it as a stitch. I do not. I think it looks nicer when you don't count it. Sometimes if you do count that as a stitch, then it leaves a gap because that isn't as sturdy as the double crochet is. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now we are to the gap there. In that corner, you're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all in that gap that was made by the other chain 2. And then you're going to do 13 double crochets here. Now the first one needs to go right there. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. You see that little hole there? Push. It needs to go in there. That's because this is the first stitch. This is the first stitch of the line. But if you don't put it in that little spot there, then it's going to be in this gap, and then it's not going to be defined that that's a side. So you want to make sure you put that first stitch between the chain and that little piece of thread right there. Or thread. I keep calling it thread. It's yarn. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we're going to do 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, come on. 7, 8, 9. Oops. 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, if you get to the end and you go, well, wait, why do I only have 12 before I hit the corner hole there? Why do I only have 12? Well, probably because you missed that one little loop there. If that happens, just put 2 in the last one. That still gives you the 13 that you need, because if you're missing one, it'll throw off the rest of the pattern. So if you miss that little spot there, and you only get 12 across before you reach the gap there, just put 2 in there. That works too. Not a big deal. It adjusts just fine. So the corner, I'm going to do the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then 13, so on and so forth. So I'm going to do all of that without recording, because I'm pretty sure I'm already at 30 minutes, and I know my attention span isn't that long. So so we'll do double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, 13 across, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, 13 down, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Now across here you want 13, but you already did 7. So you're going to do 6. You should be able to fit 6 from here to here to get that full 13. Okay? So I will see you when we get to the end. Okay, so round 7 is the basic premise is the same, but there's 2 little tweaks, which not anything to worry about. We're going to slip stitch and chain 2, so because we're still doing double crochets, we're going to do 8 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 3, oops, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so for this row, for the corner, they want you to do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. Okay, now if you wanted to do your own pattern, you could continue doing the single, chain 2, single. All you have to do is, we stitched 13 across, but since we put 1 in each of the corners, that's plus 2. So there should be 15 from here to here. So you know you're going to have 15 stitches, and then you're going to do whatever you want in the corner. So say you wanted to do the double crochet, 2 chain double crochet, you could do that, and then you do 15 double crochets, and then the same thing in that corner. Each time that you go to the next row, if you keep it at the single, let me try and word this right. If you keep it at the corners are just a single double crochet, chain 2, single double crochet, then what you're doing is you're adding 2 to each row. So it's 15 now. If you keep that pattern on the next one, it's going to be 17 across and then the corners, and then 19 across and the corners. So that will help you gauge how to stitch further on, because this only goes to round 8. If you need it bigger and you need it to go to round 10, then you would need to know how to do that kind of math. So you just add 2 on each row. Now for this one, they're having you add 2 double crochet, chain 1. So you're going to add 2, you're going to add 4 to each row. So it's 15 now. The next row will be 19. The next row will be 23. That's how you will continue to add to it. That way, if you can keep track of how many on each row, one, you won't short it, because missing that little loop to create that, to get that one chain in there, that one stitch in there, that'll really throw it off. If you have if you lose count and you have like 22 on this one and 23 on this one and 22 on this, then it'll start warping, and you don't want that. So each time that you add in that corner, those stitches before the chain are added to the next row, are added to the next count. I think that makes sense. So for this one, we're going to do 2 double crochets. I like the chain 2 because that gives more space, but I'm just going to follow the pattern for this, for the sake of this. So chain 1, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet, all in that corner space. Okay. So for the next row, when you're counting, you already have 2 added to that row. And then you have to put that next one in that spot. See, this is why I like the 1 double crochet, chain 2, because it gives you more space to find that little spot that you're supposed to go in. So you need to do 15 across. Okay. So we're doing 15 across, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, 15 across, and same over here. Now here you already have 8, so you need 7, right? Yeah, 7. So from starting in that little spot there over, you need to fit 7 double crochets to finish that side. So we're doing 15, and then 7 here to make it the full 15. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so with the pattern, the next round would be finishing it off with single crochets, just to kind of give it that border. But I have more hearts than I have space, and I kind of want it to be the same size as my other granny square. So I'm going to add, oop, don't lose. I'm also hoping that I get some more color because I feel like this is pretty much all the same shade of pink. I'm hoping to get some white. So I'm going to add 2 more rows. It's up to you on whether you want to do that or not. I'm just going to verbally tell you what I'm going to do. I kind of explained it before I paused the video. So I know I went 15 across and I added 2 on either side. So I should have 19 across. And then I think I'm going to go back to the single with the 2, the single double crochet, chain 2, single double crochet. I think I'm going to go back to that on the next row, which you can go back and forth. That's not a huge deal. So the next row is going to be 19 across and then the corners. And then since I'm only adding 2, it'll be 21 across on the final one and then the corners. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2 more rows, and that's kind of what's nice about things like this. If you can keep track of what... That's not cool. If you can keep track of what count, what you added in the corners, things like that, then you can go to infinite size. You could make a pillow, like one of those square pillows. You could literally make a pillowcase. So I'm going to add 2 more rows, which you can see how that the chain 2 helped with the scarring there. It is a little wonky on the sides there, but probably because I did it too tight, because that's just what I do. So I'm going to add 2 more rows and I will be right back. Okay guys, so I added the 2 extra layers. To say I'm disappointed in the color would be an understatement. I mean, I can kind of see the change. Like, obviously that's darker than that, but I think I was just hoping for more white on the outside, and I guess I don't know. I guess the ombre didn't go as far as I was hoping. Okay, so for this, the same with the heart. What I'll usually do is I will weave this in down tight so that you can't see the knot there, and it's more flush. So I'll take just I think they're called embroidery needles. I don't know. I don't embroider, so kind of just swinging it here. Just kind of feed it through, and I'm going to feed it all the way as far down as I can go, because along with, it doesn't have to be a straight line, so it's more even. Probably tug it up a little. You want to make sure you kind of stay in the back of the stitch though, because even though this is all basically the same color, if you had a different color, like changing colors in the yarn more drastic than this is, you don't want it to be obvious. So I'm going to weave it all the way through here to there. I don't see any, went down there. I don't see any discoloration or anything, so I think I did a good job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the heart. I'm going to tie this into a knot. That way this is secure. You could weave it in, but still, in my mind, you need some kind of knot so that it doesn't go anywhere. So even if I didn't do this, I would still knot it somewhere. So you would end up with a knot up here and a knot up here, which is a little redundant when you can just do one knot and be done. But I would, oh, I'm gonna sneeze. I would say weave it and trim it, but sorry guys. I would say weave it and then trim it that way, but I'm gonna have a backing to this quilt because, like this one, this is not the cleanest anything. Just because I had to do little things like that, so the back wasn't going to be clean anyways. So yeah, okay, so that's done. Now for these kinds of things, you could wash it and then dry it flat, kind of stretch where it needs to be stretched and shrink where it needs to be shrinked to make it more square, but it'll square out more whenever I start like putting them together. Alrighty, for the hearts, actually, where did I don't know where I put the practice heart. Oh, there it is. I mean, I guess that is seeable. A little more seeable up there. I don't know. I'm just so disappointed in the color change, but whatever. I could just do this and then kind of... These don't have to be placed in any kind of order. I personally would try not to get two similar colors together. Like, I wouldn't put those two together and these two purples together. I'm going to put the yellow between there. So something like that. And then sew them on. There's a couple different ways you could sew on. I'll show you one. I just trimmed the shorter end, which is the part that was the tail for the magic circle or magic ring, whatever you want to call it. So how I like to do it, let's see if I can. First I'm going to go up, get the string. Now there's some you could sew it on the outside. Okay, let me zoom in a little so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I can go in, out, in, out, in, out, like that. But I found that smushes it down. So to me, it feels like more 3D and prettier if you stay on the inside. Let me get... Sorry guys, I was not prepared. I'm never really prepared for these videos, but I like to act like I am sometimes. Okay. Let's stick this through. Okay. That way it's centered. Alrighty. So how I like to sew these is I'll go underneath the stitch like that. Pull it through, and then I come up under the next stitch, and then skip to the next stitch and go down, skip to the next stitch and come up. It'd be good if I kept the heart straight. Okay, let me zoom out just a smidge. Stitch. Okay, so down, under, and then up, under. Now you can go around as many times as you want. You can use a different color thread. Uh-oh. using different color thread. This is why you kind of want to have a long tail whenever you're done. That way you have enough to sew and you don't have to cut more pieces and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can take that out now. Up and under. Sometimes you do have to find or move the stitch because it has rolled. Okay, not perfectly straight, but some things shouldn't be perfect. Okay, so if you can see, you can tell it kind of kept its shape. It made it more definitive that it's separate from the square. If you go around, then it smushes it down. Now it does make it look more pillow-like, but sometimes it'll lose its definitive shape, and it's basically a personal preference. I think it looks nicer like this. This is how I was making these as pocket hugs. You know, you can put this in your pocket. They sell all sorts of different kinds of pocket hugs. Just little figurines sometimes, but the ones I've seen have been little crochet hearts. I've been actually adding 2 sides to these. And then whenever you crochet around, it makes, oh, stay in frame, Jackie. Whenever you crochet around, so you go under here, around, and then around, and then around, it smushes the pieces together and makes it more like a pillow. So it puffs up and it makes it like a little tiny heart-shaped pillow. Now if I did the same technique as this on here, then it would still look like 2 separate pieces that just happen to be stuck together. In this case, I would suggest going around, but it really just depends. If I were you and you were going to try to do something like this, or if you wanted to try one way for a heart, try another way for the other heart, and then decide on your own which way you like. They're pretty easy to cut out. You can either use these. All you have to do is pull it forward, and you can see where the stitch is. That's for this way. If you go around, then you can see the stitch on the outside of the crochet loop. You can see it, so you can just cut it from there. So you can either use these or thread cutters, which I should have like 100 of them, and I don't see any. They're the cutters with the little prongs that you just kind of scoop under. Either way, you can use a razor blade for all I care, but you would just cut that off, weave it out, and then pop it back off. It really doesn't make that big of an impression on the square as a whole, but that's completely up to you on how you want it to look. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the rest of the hearts, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm done. I probably should have done one more because my slight OCD's bugging me, but that's what it came out as. I should have done one more, and then I could have gone like a square around, but I really wanted it to be random. I'm not good at, other than what I post and when I post for YouTube videos, I really am not good at random. I try. It's the effort that counts, right? A for effort. So there it is. to go with my other Valentine's Day granny squares. So, let's see, in March, so St. Patrick's Day, lots of green. I'm excited about that. I like green. Green's my favorite color. Well, that's the video. Sorry if I talk too much, but I tend to over-explain and then talk in circles. If you liked anything, hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see what randomness I come up with next. I know the next video won't be crochet because I've already started recording that one. I just have to wait for it to be sunny enough to dry stuff outside, if that makes sense. Thank you for my current subscribers. If you're new, I hope you become one of those as well. I am hoping to be able to go live at some point, but I have to have a minimum of 50 subscribers. So, yeah, if you have any suggestions, if you want me to redo something, a part that you didn't understand, or if you just want me to do something slower, as in the process for crocheting, feel free to drop a comment. I respond to, if I don't respond, I at least react to every comment, because I'm a small enough channel that I can still do that. I hope you enjoyed what I showed you. I hope you learned something, and hopefully you'll drop me some suggestions, because like I said, I haven't gone live, so I don't know what you guys are interested in, or if you just accidentally hit the subscribe button, because I've done that a few times. So, you have a good day. I don't know what your weather is like. Here it's humid and hot, so that's fun. And I guess I will see you in the next video.